Welcome. This video is going to be about the types of motion. So there are basically 6 types of motion and some subdivisions. First, let's start with translatory motion. So translatory motion or translational motion is when all the points of the body follow a same path, and when a body moves, all of the points move in the same path and are displaced equally. Like all the points are move in parallel paths and are displaced equally. There are 2 types of translatory motion, which is rectilinear motion and curvilinear motion. Rectilinear motion is when all the points of the body, like the body as a whole, it moves in a straight path. All its points move and there is no change in direction of that point. Rectilinear motion is just when it moves in a straight line, and curvilinear motion is when all the points move but the direction of the points don't change and they move in a curved path or some random haphazard path. That's called curvilinear motion. So that is all about translatory motion. The next type of motion is rotatory motion. Some of the examples for translatory motion is rectilinear motion, a car moving in a perfectly straight path, and curvilinear motion, a car moving in a curved path. It's pretty easy. Next is rotatory motion. Rotatory motion is when the body moves around a fixed point. So this is your fixed point, and when the body moves around the fixed point, it's called rotatory motion or rotational motion. This can also be called circular motion. So the line which passes through the fixed point is called the axis of rotation. So that's all about rotatory motion, and some of the examples are the earth rotating on its axis. So if you take the core of the earth to be a fixed point, the earth is rotating about its core, right? So that is basically rotatory motion. Even revolution of the earth can be taken as an example for rotatory motion because it is revolving around the sun, which is its fixed point. So the next type of motion is vibratory motion. Vibratory motion is when the body moves to and fro a fixed point. Take for example the strings of a guitar. So when you pluck a string of the guitar, it vibrates. Vibratory motion is basically when the body vibrates, that's it. And some of the examples are strings of a guitar. And in vibratory motion, the body as a whole moves to and fro. Whereas in oscillatory motion, which is our next type of motion, the body moves to and fro about a fixed point. In rotatory motion, it moves around a fixed point, and in oscillatory, it moves about a fixed point. Take for example a pendulum. A pendulum moving to and fro about a fixed point. That is basically oscillatory motion. Next type of motion is periodic motion. So when a motion repeats itself in regular intervals of time, it is called periodic motion. Some of the examples are rotation of the earth, revolution of the earth, and blinking of the eye, which is a non-periodic motion. I'll come to that later. So there is this important note which you have to remember related to periodic and oscillatory motion. All oscillatory motions are periodic, but all periodic motions are not oscillatory. So if you take a pendulum moving about a fixed point, it does so in periods, in regular intervals of time. So it can be referred to as a periodic motion. But all periodic motions are not oscillatory. Consider the revolution of the earth. That is definitely not oscillatory motion because that's rotational motion. So that's an important point which you have to remember related to these 2. Next is non-periodic motion, which is the complete opposite of periodic motion. If a motion repeats itself in regular intervals of time in periodic motion, it does not repeat itself in regular intervals of time in non-periodic motion. And as I said earlier, blinking of the eye is a non-periodic motion. So that's it for this video. This was about the types of motion. Thank you.